Thank you very much for your very informative and interesting presentation and discussion. In closing, let me offer a few reflections, not as a scholar on world affairs, which I'm not, but as a member of an NGO, the Universal Peace Federation, which has given high priority to peace on the Korean Peninsula in the last decades. Unlike the United States, Europe's focus in Northeast Asia has been more on cooperation than on competition. But in today's context of two competing camps, China, Russia, North Korea on one side, the US, Japan, and South Korea on the other side, how can Europe contribute to peaceful solution to the conflict? With the war in Ukraine, Europe is in direct confrontation with Russia. North Korea provides weapons to Russia, and South Korea provides weapons to European nations. Can Europe in this context play the role of a mediator in the conflict in Northeast Asia? I'd like to draw attention to the question of trust building in relation with North Korea, which has been said is, I think, very significant in this matter. And I'd like to refer to the experience of a British scholar and politician, Glenford, who as a member of the European Parliament was instrumental in developing the first large-scale humanitarian aid from the EU to North Korea during the times of famine earlier in this century. He visited North Korea, I think about 50 times, and was able to build relationships of trust with North Korean leaders at the highest level. And he's the one who initiated in 2004 the European Parliament's delegation for relations with the Korean Peninsula, which I think is a significant tool for European diplomacy in the Far East. He wrote actually several books on North Korea, including a recent one entitled Picturing the DPRK, which offers a window into North Korean life. Ford acknowledges that North Korea is a flawed and repressive state, yet he sees that there is a way to engage North Korean leaders, part of whom are desperate to modernize and end their isolation. This view resonates with us in UPF because our founder, Dr. Moon, when the Berlin Wall collapsed and the Cold War came to an end, seized the opportunity to go and meet with Kim Il-sung at that time at the risk of his life, and was able to engage him in opening a dialogue with the United States in 1991 and in the following years. Today, when we see the radical shift of policy announced by Kim Jong-un in regard to South Korea, breaking with the tradition of his father Kim Jong-il and grandfather Kim Il-sung, as has been said several times today, and who despite these two, Kim Jong-il and Kim Il-sung, who despite always provoking conflicts, never ceased to proclaim the unity of the Korean people and never considered the destruction of South Korea. So when we see Kim Jong-un's policy shift, we wonder whether it's still possible to talk anymore about peace on the Korean Peninsula. Yet, this position, as Ford suggests, by the way, is a position of weakness. And, it basically acknowledging that North Korea is weaker economically and militarily than South Korea and can only rely on nuclear power. Whereas the US, Japan, and South Korea are kind of locked into a radical confrontation with North Korea, isn't Europe still in the position to engage the North and in trust building and offer some alternatives that may satisfy their needs, North Korea's needs, whether in the area of agriculture or health or other ways of cooperation and assistance? I think that has been mentioned also by our panelists today. I'm raising that question, which I thought would be considered maybe utopian in current circumstances, but I can see that most of our panelists today, or all our panelists today, concur with this idea. And I think that Europe has such resources and that North Korea has such expectations from European nations. In any case, we in UPF pursue the initiative that was stated in our 2022 summit resolution in Korea as 2 states toward 1 nation, 1 peninsula, 1 people, 1 culture, considering that peace in Northeast Asia is essential to the world. As you know, Many projects have been envisioned by UPF founders in support of this initiative, such as tunnel connections between Japan and Korea, or between the US and Eurasian continent and the Bering Strait. And these large projects, as well as many of the meetings we organize, such as this one, are meant to support this initiative. And despite the current tension, we believe that it is really an endeavor worth fighting for. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for your presentations today. Thank you very much, Humphrey, also for your moderation. Thank you.